Thank you for joining us for this Fortify Unplugged session. My name is Erdem Menges, and I'm with Fortify Product Marketing Team. In this session, we're going to announce Scala programming language support with Fortify Source Code Analyzer. Scala is a general-purpose programming language that is object-oriented and supports functional programming. Scala source code is intended to be compiled to Java bytecode so that the resulting executable code runs on a Java virtual machine. Scala has compatibility with existing Java programs, and it has increased its user base and popularity recently. We are happy to announce our support for source code analysis for applications developed using Scala. Joining us today is Poonam Yadav with Fortify Product Management Team and Brad Murdoch, who is VP of Corporate and Business Development at Lightbend. They're going to tell you more about our Scala support, and they will demonstrate how we can use this feature. In this session, you'll learn the benefits of Scala support of Fortify and how to set up and use Scala source code scans in your environments. With that, let me pass it over to Poonam and Brad.
Hi, everyone. I'm Poonam Yadav. I am the product manager for Fortify Static Code Analyzer. Today, I'm really excited to announce the preview of our Scala language support. And this announcement is more exciting because this is the first time that Fortify has partnered with a company outside to support a language. Before I jump into the details of the preview, I'd like Brad to introduce himself and talk a little bit about Lightbend.
Thanks, Poonam. So it's a pleasure for me to be here. My name is Brad Murdoch, responsible for corporate business development at Lightbend, which includes our relationship with HPE, and it has been a pleasure to work with the Fortify team over the past 12 months as we've pulled this together. For those of you not familiar with Lightbend, Lightbend is a professional open source company. It was founded by Martin Odersky, who was the person that wrote the Scala language, and Jonas Bonner, who wrote the ACA distributed framework in Scala. And the company has been around since 2011. We've grown very substantially the user base of both Scala and frameworks that are written in Scala very significantly over the past few years. And Scala is used for, it's a general purpose language, but it's particularly strong when people are building data-centric applications. And so if you use Twitter today, if you check LinkedIn today, if you watch Netflix, you're actually using technology unknown to you that was built using some of these, some of the Scala programs and Scala built frameworks. So there are many, many examples of it. And enterprises around the world are using Scala for a whole new generation of scalable, resilient, data-centric, and in many cases, cloud-native applications. So the requirement to have the vulnerabilities detected in any of these applications is really, really high. And so this is a very, very exciting announcement. And we're really excited about working with the Fortify team to take this out to all of your enterprise customers.
So like I mentioned, HPE Fortify partnered with Lightbend for this preview that I'm announcing today. The Lightbend team wrote the front end, or what we call the translator, for Scala language. The Fortify team made sure that the output of that translator worked well with our backend to find vulnerabilities in Scala applications. The Fortify SSR team, which is our security research team, developed the rules for Scala language. And we hope and intend to carry this model forward to extend Scala support to support the major frameworks that are used with Scala, and also to keep the support up to date as new Scala versions come out in the market. So let me talk a little bit in detail about what is in the preview and how to use the preview. So the preview version is available now, and I will send out an email with all the details after this call. The GA release will be with our 17.20 release, which is towards the end of this year in the October-November timeframe. The preview supports all Scala language constructs. We are able to find vulnerabilities in all Scala language constructs today. It includes a rule pack, which we developed for Scala-specific applications. In the GA release, we also target to include support for Play framework. The requirements that will go into using this preview is that the customer needs a Fortify license. Also, they need Lightbend license to scan their Scala applications.
So Lightbend, as I mentioned, is a professional open source company. This means that the code itself is available in the open source, but Lightbend provides significant value adds to our customers in the form of subscriptions. And those subscriptions come in two forms, either a development subscription or what we call a full lifecycle subscription, which is a superset of the development subscription, including a set of production tooling. So the Scala plugin for Fortify will be available with any subscription from Lightbend. The development subscription licensing model is based on the number of developers. So by default, the subscription comes with up to 10 developers, but the customer can acquire more licenses. The full lifecycle subscription has a similar model. So effectively, any number of developers that need to be able to use the plugin to get the Fortify capabilities can be licensed very easily by the customer. So we do also offer a POV, or a proof of value offering, where it's effectively a 3-month trial, or up to 3 months. One of the things that we've been working on together with Poonam is to make sure that the Fortify solution architects will have the ability to be able to have licenses, so that for test and trial and demonstration purposes. We're really excited about this. We've had a lot of demand from our customer base for this capability, as I'm sure you've had from your customer base. The team at Lightbend will be very responsive to any requests. And so we've put together a simple little email alias called fortifyscala@lightbend.com. That goes to a number, myself included, and a number of our team. I assure you we will be very responsive in terms of any questions that come in.
Thanks, Brad. And I would like to add to what you said, that our customers have been really asking for the support. And so this is an exciting milestone for both of our companies. So what do you need to scan your Scala applications with this preview? So the first requirement is the SCA 17.20 preview, which is available on an HPE SFTP server. On this server also, we have the rules preview for Scala and a README with instructions on how to set up and how to use this preview. You would also need the SBT, which is the build tool for Scala, and the instructions to download and set it up are also in the README. And you would need the Scala compiler plugin as well. This README file has instructions on getting the preview and getting all the steps on setting up the SCA bit. And also it has instructions on how to set the SBT. I just want to show you that this has the instructions to set up the Lightbend license. It has the commands that you need to, the files that you need to create and the commands that you need to enter. So it has all the steps in detail, how to set up the credentials. Here you can see how to set up the credentials for Lightbend and how to enable the Scala plugin. So in this is the set of steps that I used to set up my SBT and Scala plugin, which is you just download and install the SBT, and then SBT in turn will internally enable the Scala plugin, so you don't have to do anything when it comes to the Scala plugin. So I recommend that you follow these steps before you start scanning your applications. So this is the project that I'm going to scan today. As you can see, we have the files here, and the two files that are of particular interest are the build.svt file and the fortify.svt files. So these are the two SVT files that enable us to compile and scan this application. And I have these open here just to show you that the build.svt file is just some details that the Scala compiler requires, and the fortify.svt file is where you have to enter the credentials. You have to enable the plugin for Scala. You have the translate task here, which is the translation for Fortify SCA. And as you can see that these are very simple sequential steps of the clean and the compile that we are used to. And then after the translate, we have the scan step, which is, again, we are just scanning the code with Source Analyzer. So this file will also be available on the FTP, and you can use it as a reference, or you can just copy this into your project directory and use it as is. So I'm going to go into the project directory and want to check that my SBT is set up. And then after that, it is as simple as running an SBT translate. So what we're doing here is we are calling the translate step in the SBT. And like I said, which is just a sequential clean and a compile. And what we expect to see after this step is that we will have the output, the NST files in the target folder. So the target folder is where we want to store all the NST files, and that is specified. And so here, as you can see, we have now created all these .nst files after the translate step. So the translate step is done, and I'm just going to say svt scan, which will call the scan function, the scan commands in the .svt file. And once the scan is done, we should be able to see the scan.fpr here. So it does take a little bit of investment, not that much. It's pretty simple, but it will take you around half an hour to get the license and set up the credentials and then build your fortify.svt file. But once you are done with that, the scanning of the applications with the SVT is pretty simple, as you can see here. Are there any questions while we're waiting for the scan to finish?
We did have a question typed into the chat room. I'll go ahead and bring that up now. Will Scala be considered a Fortify premium language?
No. So Scala will not be a premium language. It will be available with every Fortify license. However, the customer will need to purchase Lightbend licenses.
Okay, thank you. In addition to the SBT files, guide docs, and internal Lightbend license, will the team have access to two or more Scala apps for use in demos? So this is a question about internal. Will we be able to use those for demos and enablement?
Right. So I think what I will do is I will make the same application that I demoed here. I will make this available on the FTP as well, so that the team has something ready for them to demo to customers.
Hi, Poonam. I just wanted to add a little bit onto the answer related to the premium language question with respect to Lightbend licensing. I should have mentioned when I was doing this that any existing Lightbend subscribers will get access to this plugin without any incremental charges. We're bundling it with all Lightbend subscriptions.
So now the scan is complete, and like I said, we should be able to see the scan.fpr here. So let me go ahead and open it, and I'm going to show you two vulnerabilities in the Scala applications, and you just wait for Audit Workbench to load. Okay, and here it is. This is the command line injection in the code. And what is happening here is that we are taking an address, and we do not, we're taking an address from the user, and we are not validating it. And then we are pinging. We're converting it into a string, and then we are pinging that address. And so this is a command line injection, and SCA is now able to find this. Similarly, on this line, with the same address, we ping the address, and then we wrapped it up into an HTML, and we are saying, so this is again, this is a string. We are saying that the host address that the user provided has been pinged. And we are creating an HTML, and OK is a play construct which makes sure that your HTML is wrapped up in with all the headers and everything that is required, and it will render it in a browser. And so here, what we're saying is that on this line, we have seen a cross-site scripting because we're taking an unvalidated address. So those are the two vulnerabilities that I wanted to show. And as you can see that the analysis evidence and everything is available just like any other language with SCA. So this is the end of my demo. Do we have any questions?
I did have one come to me. What vulnerabilities can SCA find in the Scala code? So you're showing us cross-site scripting here, but is it as broad as maybe some of the other vulnerabilities we expect from SCA?
Yes. So I do have, I think I have the file open. So as we have a long list of vulnerabilities that we can find in SCA, if I'm able to scroll through this. And as you can see, this is around 203. So these are 203 vulnerabilities. There is some overlap between Java and Scala, but these vulnerabilities are we can find all of them in Scala applications. So there are around 203 categories that we can find, and this because our Scala rule pack is not GA right now, this information is internal, and as soon as the rule pack becomes GA, this information will be available in vulncat.hpe just like any other languages that we support.
Excellent, thank you. So at this time, we'll open it up to general Q&A. Can a user generate an MBS file using the Fortify Scala plugin to perform the Fortify SCA scan on a different machine?
So in the preview version, we have not supported that, but in the GA version, we will definitely support that.
Roughly what percentage of Scala users have Lightbend licenses already? Do we have an answer on that?
Yeah, that's it's a tough question to answer accurately just because of the nature of open source. We estimate that there are something like between 1.2 and 1.5 million Scala developers. Many of those are enterprise customers, and particularly financial services, e-commerce, retail, media, telecom. There are a lot of verticals, but particularly in financial services industries. We don't really have a very good way of being able to track the developer pair to the customer base. So I could say 10%. I wouldn't know if that was accurate or not. But let's say we have in the hundreds of enterprise subscribers. So there's certainly plenty of scope for additional subscriptions here, which is one of the reasons we're very excited about this, because of the number of enterprises that obviously depend on Fortify.
Thank you very much, Brad. Here's a question I think is interesting. Does Auto Workbench, do we plan on the GA release to do syntax highlighting for Scala the way that it does for other languages?
Is syntax highlighting different from what is happening on the screen right now? Because we are able to highlight where the vulnerability is, if you know, which is what I've observed with all the other languages.
Yeah,
so this is available in the preview.
So the person who's written that question, if you can respond maybe for more clarification while I move to the next question. How can we review the rule pack to determine the details of those 203 vulnerabilities?
So rule packs are not visible to customers or users. What we make available is a list of categories on the VulnCat site. And when the rule pack becomes GA, this information will be available publicly on that website.
Okay, thank you.
So the question about syntax highlighting, it just looks like you're using the default editor built into Eclipse, and if you wanted to do syntax highlighting, which would show different pieces, like different language constructs and different colors, it's not critical. I was just curious. But if you want to do that, it's possibly you need to incorporate code from the Scala IDE plugins.
Okay, so I have not thought about that, and I can work with Jimmy, who is our tools PM, on this one.
Great, thanks for the question. Thanks for the clarification. There's one last question I've received. Can I scan Scala apps without using SBT?
You technically can, but we do not recommend that. We strongly recommend that you use SBT. And in my opinion, all the developers who use Scala use SBT already, so they are very familiar with that. And to translate and scan, like I showed you in that .sbt file, it's just 2 blocks of commands that you have to add. So it's very simple. And so we strongly recommend that you use SBT.
I want to thank you, Poonam, and also Brad for your time. Erdem, thanks for helping us get this set up. Everyone is dismissed.